Hello, I am back. This would be me yapping about League of Legends. I actually haven't been on a game in such a long time. Funny enough, they actually released some setting where you could play with WASD instead of clicking around with your mouse. I tried a little bit with WASD and wasn't really finding a whole lot of fun in it, just because the controls overall to me felt a little wonky, right? Being like your Q, W, E, and R, and then D and F for your items, your summoner spells. It I feel like changing them to like whatever Path of Exile and Diablo and Last Epoch would use would be a little bit more understandable and a little bit more digestible. But for whatever reason, it just feels off and different. And I don't necessarily know what to change it to make it work. I've tried a few different setups. I also tried looking around to try to see what other people were doing, and I couldn't really find much of anything that seemed like it would actually click. So I went back to using mouse and keyboard, and I was just playing some basic matches overall. And as you can see, I'm doing god awful. But I am just learning the game. I don't really ever play ranked. It's usually swift play, I believe is what they call it now, where you can just hop into a game and just run it. I haven't been on Wild Rift in a very long time. I know one of the last times I played, they started updating and changing the game dramatically, and it stopped feeling as fun to me. So I tried Actual League. Plus, I have some friends who play Actual League, so I thought it would be fun to play with them and see how some things turned out. Um, I was just going to upload audio um, from the actual games of my friends and I playing together, and that way you could kind of hear us talking and goofing off and whatnot. But there's just so many different files and footage that like I would have to comb through, that for this specific thing I would rather just talk about like the things that I've dealt with in League since I played, right? Since I came back. Um First and foremost, uh the actual game like swift play, I like it. I think being able to queue up into matches a lot quicker is significantly more fun and entertaining. I think being able to pre-queue by having like a main character as well as a main role, and then having a backup one just in case something happens, is also fun. um I will admit that it's been such a long time since I've ever actually played League on PC, and something that I kind of forgot is that I never really learned like the tech and movement and maneuvers and whatnot that people would normally use. So when it comes to actually playing the game, I'm not as great. In fact, I find myself, I guess, uh, auto canceling, animation canceling pretty much everything, because I'll click, I'll use a skill, and then I'll click again, and it just doesn't really work out in my favor. It actually gets pretty frustrating. That's where I think WASD would potentially work out a little bit more for me. But I guess I'm still technically trying to figure everything out as a whole. So it comes and goes. In that case, though, Switchplay hasn't really been my cup of tea. It's nice for being able to kind of learn League a little bit more, but they do implement things into League that I guess normal games wouldn't have. Like, for example, they're significantly quicker, just kind of like Wild Rift would be. But at the same time, there are little changes and things that they've made in the game that maybe Wild Rift follows now. I'm not entirely sure. My friend pointed out that apparently, I believe you're losing gold if you're in the league, like by a heavy amount. Um, they have like a sudden death mode if the game goes on for too long, which I believe Wild Rift had something like that as well. There's a bunch of new items that I'm not aware of. There's new characters that I've heard about but haven't really seen. There's just a lot. And so, yeah, as you could probably tell from the sped up clip, I'm dying like a million times. But I want to say that like my favorite like um game mode that I was able to actually experience and play, I would say is the crazy ARAM game mode that they released. My friend and I played it for like 2 nights, I believe, and we would have played a bit longer. But around that third night, I ended up having to go do some stuff, and then I was away for like the rest of the week and just was not really playing a lot of games super often. I just really haven't been, especially with like school and whatnot. But the ARAM, it's not normal ARAM because I despise normal ARAM. If you've ever seen me play Smite, like I pretty much never play Assault. I hate Assault, but it's like this boosted ARAM where you're running around and everything's chaotic and you're just throwing everything at the wall, and you get these little special card pulls to further help like utilize a build and make it special. And it's just that sentiment is pretty fun to me. You don't have to deal with like the runes when starting up. You just pick a character and you build that character, and whatever it is you put on that character uh, either works or doesn't work from that point forward. And the stuff that you get in the middle of the game can change a lot of stuff about your total playstyle. So I find it to be a whole lot of fun, uh, just because it's super chaotic and feels like it's basically left up to chance or fate. And apparently, about the time that I stopped playing, they released some new update where just about every character has their own personal startup card, so you can actually pick things, I guess, that go more so towards making a build. If you're watching this video like deeper in the future, this would have been about the time that they released that vampire slaying guy who was like hunting Vayne in one of the like music videos that they created. But yeah, all in all, I think that that game mode was pretty fun. I think I enjoyed it. We got to play, I want to say, about 3 or 4 different game modes of it, and I was just finding out things as I was playing. Like, for example, you can't there are special items in a shop, but you can only get your hands on those items if you have a quest to get those items. And you only get the quest by picking up those cards, and you won't really know until you get to that point. So it's pretty interesting overall, right? It leaves room for improvement in a sense of just kind of carefully thinking out what it is you would pick next and how it is you're actually going to build the character that you're playing with. And because I just haven't played in so long and haven't really memorized how the mechanics actually work, I just feel super lost and behind in a grand scheme of things. But it's fun to be able to play, not really play it ranked, and not really have to deal with too many people being toxic, and still being able to just experience the game, I think. Um, yeah, I really thought, because there was some rumors and talk that League would end up going mobile, like Wild Rift, and Wild Rift players would be able to play with League of Legends like players, but I guess not. There's some talk about being able to use like a controller while playing League, and I guess that didn't really come out super well either. I guess enough time with WASD, and maybe they'll end up pushing it to console. Maybe. I'm sure there's no like major rush for it, but just the idea that they've moved to WASD, or like give you the option to, I think it's really like sweet, really cool, really nice. Uh, yeah, I guess that's like the biggest things that I've definitely noticed with League. This crazy version of ARAM has kind of taught me a little bit more about basic ARAM and staying alive and team positioning and going in when like certain teammates go in and avoiding other like enemy members, so on and so forth, right? And it really just feels like a losing game if like you're building this or you're building that, or you're working on this and you're working on that, and you're as far as you can be and your teammates are nowhere near you because they're falling behind. It also feels frustrating when the roles are reversed, and yeah, you don't always win them, but I think that kind of keeps games fun, because if you won things 100% of the time, you wouldn't I would think you wouldn't really have fun like continuing to play those games. It's not going to be as entertaining if you're always winning, right? You have to lose every now and then to remind you why you're playing, right? Because you want to win. Um, but yeah, as you could probably see in some of these clips, some of the cards that I got added some pretty interesting things, like always giving me the red and blue buff. Then this other like card that spawns cards around the game, and every time you pick up a card, it gives you some special characteristic that's completely random, and It could be something that's super helpful towards whatever it is you're building, or it could be something like super stupid and doesn't help you at all, right? You just don't have a choice in the matter. And I really, like I said, I really love like the chaos and how chaotic the overall gameplay of it all is. Um, I'd say all in all, I definitely had fun. It kind of reminds me of like Paladins and like Smite 1. I haven't been on Smite 2 in a bit. I'm trying to extend, branch out, and play a few different things, but it's just been um, hectic all in all. So, stuff comes when I post it, and if people are watching, then they see it. And if not, who cares? I'm still going to put it up anyway. Uh, in terms of actual gameplay, I want to keep my actual gameplay and conversations and whatnot in a completely separate kind of field, right? Where, oh, my bad, I'm also joining Discord. I want to keep it in a completely separate kind of field on a different channel, which would be my gaming channel, and where I am like ranting and giving like my point of views of things and my opinions on things. I think would be okay to just keep here, right? I haven't really been talking a lot through YouTube. I've actually just been talking with a lot of people that I've been meeting and whatnot. Look at me being social. Woo woo. But yeah, I feel like it would be pretty nice to get rid of some of these clips that are taking up over 400 gigabytes on my computer. So a lot of this stuff's going to get deleted, but I'm trying to merge it all together in situations like this so that you can kind of see some of the footage that like I've been juggling as well. I'm trying to get back into metal and using what metal has to offer, and I'm also trying to utilize other games as a whole too. So it's on and off. It's on and off. But yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. See ya. Eat my balls.